My name is Rodolfo Casás. You have it over there, Senior Solution Architect at Trilio. We do 2 things now. We used to do 3, but Red Hat Virtualization is end of life very soon. So now we protect OpenStack and Kubernetes, okay? And specifically, Red Hat OpenShift, Red Hat OpenStack. Red Hat is, I would say, our biggest partner, okay? I'm going to introduce first our solution for OpenShift, okay? So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had to explain what Kubernetes was to our prospects. Okay, now those days have passed. Everyone understands OpenShift and the problems and the issues and everything. Okay, so we are an operator. Okay, we are a certified operator. I think we were the first one, certified data protection operator in the operator hub. Okay, and we can protect not only namespaces but Helm charts, operators. Okay. Everyone forgets about operators, and when I talk to people, 99% of the people do not follow best practices. They don't do Git configuration, and then if they have to reinstall the operator, they can pull the configuration from Git. Almost no one does that. Okay? So the only way you have to recover or roll back an operator, a failed operator upgrade, is from a backup. Okay? And I think we are the only one that can do that. Okay? Operator backup. OpenShift pipelines, 3-scale, keycloak, okay? We can also protect KubeVirt, OpenShift Virtualization, which is huge now because of Broadcom, okay? So a lot of workloads are coming big size to OpenShift, right? And all of that, we can put those backups in S3 or NFS, okay? Other tools only can do it to S3. We can do S3 with object locking, of course, and NFS, okay? And we are agnostic. We have customers with OpenShift everywhere, okay? OpenShift on-prem and AKS on the public cloud because they want it like that, or they are migrating, they have a hybrid environment. We're not bothered. Even between different versions of OpenShift, you can migrate workloads and do disaster recovery, okay? Now, the secret sauce from Trilio. This is a list of the latest stuff that we find is very interesting for customers. First of all, the OpenShift UI integration. I will do a demo in a minute, okay? Let me go through the PowerPoint as fast as possible. We have the OpenShift UI integration right now. I think we are the first one doing that. We have it in Red Hat Virtualization, we have it in Red Hat OpenStack, and we have it also in OpenShift UI. We also have the traditional multi-cluster hybrid user interface. I will show you that as well. We don't have a proprietary backup format. We use QCOD2 and JSON for the backups, okay? And not only that helps with avoiding vendor locking, but let's say you have big disks of a virtual machine, and you just need a file. If you use QCOD2, you can mount it from the UI and extract the file. That's it. You don't need to recover everything, okay? That is very useful. You save a lot of time. We have application-level encryption, so every backup plan can have a different encryption key. We integrate with S3 object locking, so ransomware protection, it's a big win, okay? OLM operator rollback and migration, about that I already told you, okay? And then how do we integrate with the Red Hat ecosystem? We can integrate with Ansible Automation Platform because we have a certified collection, certified by Red Hat. Okay, so Red Hat will be level 1 support for that, not us. Okay? So can I implement my whole backup strategy using Ansible with 400 clusters and thousands of namespaces? Yes, why not? Okay? Can I do the same thing with ACM? Yes, we have very big telco customers, okay, and ACM as a fleet manager is awesome, okay? That was like state of the art, I would say 6 months ago, almost the best we could do. Now, the best we can do, I will also show you, we presented it at the summit in Denver, okay, which is like unattended recovery, okay? Everything automated, self-healing. I'll show you that, okay? For disaster recovery. And parallel transforms, in the UI or also using automation, you can transform any application from one place to the other because things change. Storage can be different. Credentials in a config map can be different. Number of replicas can be different. Number of cores, number of size of disk, whatever you want to change, you can transform your application in the UI. Very simple, okay? And then when it comes to OpenShift virtualization, we have different ways of protecting our VMs. Okay, we can do replication, like with OpenShift Data Foundation. We have Metro DR and Regional DR. Whatever you want, okay, that's a very fantastic solution. So in seconds, you can be up and running on the other side. That's great. But replication, HA, is not DR. If something happens, you might need to recover from backup, okay? And then for that, we have a feature which is called continuous restore. I will explain that to you. So we pre-stage the data of the backups on the disaster recovery side. So when the disaster strikes, the data is already there. Okay, I'll show you about that. So recovery is way faster. Okay, and then the last one is unattended recovery with event-driven Ansible. That's what we presented at the summit. Okay, I'll show you. Right. So backup and restore to the same cloud. That's not really difficult. Okay. Yes?
This solution is only for cloud environment or also for on-premise?
Of course, everywhere. Everywhere, okay? And you can do air-gapped installations with a mirror registry, yes, of course, okay? Same cloud is not very difficult. Any cloud, you see, from on-prem, connecting on-prem to off-prem, that's a little more difficult. We can do it, okay? I have a blog post about ROSA to Arrow migration with Ansible. Ansible backup of an application and Ansible restore with Trilio of an application, okay? And the most complex is, okay, what if the storage is different? What I told you, what if something is different? The restores will fail. Do you have any experience with backup and recovery products? Do you have any experience with them? Yeah, so it's not really that it works all the time. It's not like that, because every customer will have a different use case, will be doing things differently. So flexibility, you need a lot of flexibility, okay? And Trilio will give you that flexibility, okay? Now, what do we back up? I will do this very fast, okay? Because I want to show you the UI. We back up 3 things. Of course, data, all metadata, like config maps, service accounts, role bindings, secrets, all of that, okay? Deployments, whatever, plus the images, okay? Why the images? Because you probably understand the metadata and the data, but why the images? Because what happens if you're going to restore something or you have a disaster recovery event and your image registry is down? You will not be able to pull any images to restore your applications. So you have to set up a temporary registry, and then you can push with Trilio UI, really simple, you can push your images as part of the restore, okay? So what will happen is push and then restore everything, okay? So you need the images as well. Or what happens if you want to restore an application from 6 months ago for auditing purposes? That image will not be in the registry anymore. No way, okay? So you need the image backup as well. So we have several temporary pods that will capture all the metadata, will store it in JSON. Then we have the data mover, which will do a snapshot, and we will put the data from the snapshot and the image in the NFS or S3. And if your application, you need to restore it, we will do some validation, and then if you want, you will restore the images, and if not, you will restore the persistent volume with the data, and the meta mover will restore the metadata to Kubernetes, and then Kubernetes, OpenShift, in this endless loop of reconciliation will spin up your applications, okay? Right, so what could possibly go wrong, okay? Yes, many customers consider backup as a day 2 decision, okay? Okay, first, get the hardware, and they don't think, no, that's coming in 3 months. And then OpenShift deployment, and the last thing, by the way, do we have backup? Okay, that happens a lot, okay? So what could possibly go wrong, okay? So there's a list of reasons why you would need to do a disaster recovery. And it was too large that I had to break it in 2. And I could imagine even more, okay? All of those are the usuals, you know, and the last one is a human error, okay? An Ansible guy made a mistake, wrong scope, wrong VMs, wrong persistent volumes, whatever, and then, so it's not even hardware or storage or network or whatever. It's just a human error, just a tiny mistake. We do it all the time, okay? So a lot of things can go wrong, okay? Now, what is this about fast disaster recovery with Trilio's continuous restore? First, let me go to our UI, okay? So I want to do a demo, and I will explain this to you later on. So this is the integration with the OpenShift console, okay? So you can have VMs, right? And you can see Trilio backups over here. I can see backup summaries, restore summary, target summary, right? Backups. We have customers coming nowadays. They will have mixed environments with VMs and containers, but others, they will have a container environment or VM, standard OpenShift Virtualization standalone environment, big systems, okay? People coming from ref. We have telco customers that use ref, okay, and they are all upgrading to OpenShift Virtualization. And they will not have containers. It's just VMs supporting, for example, a Red Hat OpenStack cloud, okay? Or they want to run thousands of VMs. It will just be OpenShift Virtualization, like people coming from VMware, okay? So for those customers, those sysadmins, having the chance not to go out of the OpenShift UI is great, okay? So, hey, I want to take a backup. Let's create a backup. Oops. Awesome, the best moment. I just took one 15 minutes ago. Let's try again, create backup. Yeah, that works. Next, you select the target where you want to put the backup, and then you enter the name, OSEC 2. I think the previous one I named it OSEC, so OSEC 2, create. That's it. So as this admin can do a backup just from the OpenShift UI. If you go to the overview, you will see that you can see it over here. And if you go to the Trilio UI, which actually runs inside OpenShift, okay, all of this is running in a pod with a service, with a route. Okay, so I want to highlight this is cloud native. I cannot say how many times people has asked me, okay, what are your hardware requirements? I say we are not an appliance. We run inside OpenShift, okay? So we can tell you what our pods consume with regards to memory and CPU, but all our pods run in the Trilio system namespace. You can put a quota on that if you want. Okay, you can put security privileges, allow what you want, totally flexible, okay? And as you can see here, this UI is multi-cluster, okay? I have two OpenShift in this case. You see this is your backup running, okay? Right, then how can I do a migration or a disaster recovery normally with Trilio? So you will have targets. Targets is like NFS S3. And the only thing you have to do is, if DC2 is saving backups in one NFS, you have to go to the disaster recovery cluster and configure the same target. Okay? And I'll show you something. I think it's also unique to Trilio. So if I go to one of these targets, I can launch a browser, and I can actually see the backups from all the clusters that are putting backups over there. Right? So I know my primary cluster is DC2. Okay, and this is the backup plan. Okay, so I could restore just like that. Okay, so what did I do? Let me show you in the PowerPoint. Pointer options, pen color. What I just did was this cluster took backups over here, and then let's say this cluster goes down. From the other Trilio in the other cluster, I will go to the NFS, choose the backup, and restore. This is what you just saw in the UI. And I'm going to tell you now, what is the problem with this? Nothing. There's no problem. But if it's 1 gigabyte of persistent volume, 4 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes, 20 gigabytes. Now, if you start talking about 200 gigabytes, that could take a long time. What about VMs with half terabyte disks? How many VMs? What about VMs with 4 disks or 4 half terabyte or 1 terabyte? Now, what if you have 200 terabytes? Yes?
In this case, who is responsible to change the public, for example, storage classes? Because in first cluster I have, for example, self, and the second cluster I have, I don't know, the...
Azure Disk. Azure Disk 4R. I'll show you. You can do that automatically, okay? Or, for example, I click Restore, just a random name, random namespace, and then you go to Advanced, Transforms, Add Transform, Custom, okay? Create New. And there, you can change whatever you want. For example, let's say you want to change the configuration of the virtual machine or the persistent volume claim, whatever. So, for example, you want to change it to Azure Disk. This is a random transform name. That's description. But then you want to replace, so you search for a storage class, and then you enter the storage class you want. And then you can preview changes. On the left, you have the original persistent volume claim definition, and on the right, that is how Trilio is going to create that persistent volume claim in Arrow. So if you scroll down, you can see exactly what you asked, okay? So this is a very good example of if I don't do this, or if any other tool cannot do this that easily, the restore will fail, because that tool will try to create a persistent volume with OCS, whatever. I never remember that name, okay, with that storage class. But with Trilio, you saw how easy it is. Okay, of course, I'm fast because I do blah, 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 that's it. But the nice thing is a cloud-native tool. So the moment you do a restore, that's actually stored in a YAML file, which then you can use Ansible to automate, okay? So another way to, what else could I do with Ansible? You could do disaster recovery testing of your whole cluster, or starting up. This application is the most critical. So that's the one I want to migrate first, and then the second, and then the third. And you can do it every week, every month, every 3 months, whatever you want, everything automated, okay? Right, so what I was telling you is this can take long time, but with Trilio, this is what we do. So imagine a lot of terabytes, okay? So what we have is we have some services monitoring the backup target, and whenever a backup happens, we pre-stage the data from the backup as volume snapshots in the destination cluster. Okay, you can do full and incrementals, and if something goes wrong, you don't have to copy the data because it will already be there. Okay, so this is like enhanced disaster recovery. Okay? Any question? You understand this? Did I explain myself? Yes? Okay, so yes, this is continuous restore. Next thing I want to show to you. Ansible. Okay, of course you can use Ansible in the CLI, you can do whatever you want, but if you have Ansible automation platform, let's say you have this Rodolfo. Rodolfo is the junior guy. He doesn't know how to spell Trilio or OpenShift, but with some instructions, he click the rocket and 2, 3, 4 steps, he can actually do a namespace backup. You can select the cluster with using credentials, and then you choose what cluster, let's say my development cluster. Then it will ask you what namespace I want to protect. Rodolfo, next. And that's it. I got all the configuration I need to launch a backup. That's it, 4 steps. Okay, so anyone in your organization with very little knowledge, you can prepare anything you want with Ansible. You know, different workflows, connecting to your public infrastructure, doing whatever with the DNS, with the load balancers, then you can migrate applications, everything with a rocket. Click, click, that's it, okay? So if you want to do that, you can do it, okay? Next integration with the Red Hat ecosystem is ACM, okay? So I don't know how familiar are you with Advanced Cluster Manager. Advanced Cluster Manager, for me, is the only way to manage a lot of clusters or very little number of clusters, but policy-based. So everything is automated. There's no possibility of human error, okay? You have configured everything in ACM. Now, why not, in a conversation with a big telco in the US, it came up, okay, like a year and a half ago, I don't know, hey, why don't we integrate Trilio with ACM? So what is the goal? The goal is that when I add a cluster to ACM, Trilio gets installed automatically. And also, if there are namespaces with application, let's do a backup all automatically based on conditions, like, for example, 2 of them. First of all, when you add the cluster, ACM will check if there's a label in the cluster that says protected by Trilio. And second, for example, you can do whatever you want. It is if it's OpenShift, okay? So if it is OpenShift and it says protected by Trilio, then we will do that. ACM will install Trilio automatically and protect namespaces, okay? And that is really cool. And I want to show you how this integration works, because I go to governance, policies, okay? And this is the install Trilio policy. You can check it out. It is really easy to copy-paste from the Red Hat repo where we upload this, and then you customize, okay? Like, for example, this, protected by equals Trilio, vendor equals OpenShift, okay? So you can have hundreds of clusters working together, joining ACM, and it's all automatic, okay? And the second policy is create backup, okay? So we have this, okay? Same thing. You can also copy-paste from the Red Hat repo where we have all this, okay? So when you create a new policy, this is empty, right? But then you copy-paste this, and then you can customize, okay? Just like that. So for example, I have 2 clusters configured right now. Which one is this? Dev, okay? So there's a namespace called Kevin Demo. So if I go to my dev cluster, because I want to show you that it does actually work. If I go to dev, there should be a backup plan protecting the Kevin Demo namespace. Okay, I think this is the one, right? I hope I'm right. Yes, I'm right, okay? Sometimes it takes a quarter of a second, sometimes it takes a second, sometimes a second and a half, but you see, that backup was taken through ACM. So when ACM detects it does not exist, it will trigger a new backup. But the goal is not protect the cluster and the backups from human errors. The goal is add a cluster, install operator automatically, do all backups automatically, following your policies. All policy-based, compliance, governance, you know what I'm talking about, right? So for certain companies, it is because of governance, risk, and compliance. For others, it's because they have a lot of clusters, and there's no better way to manage this, okay? So as you see, there was a violation, okay? And then ACM is fixing that violation, okay? Now that you know about our integration with ACM, I can tell you about this. Now, this is now the state of the art with Trilio and Red Hat. What do we see here? We see an ACM cluster managing 2 clusters, the primary, yes, and the secondary, okay? Now, ACM will deploy Trilio automatically, of course. Yes, okay? Now, Argo CD will deploy an application. Yeah, I think around 60-65% of companies, they use GitOps tools, okay, to deploy applications. So Argo CD will deploy an application. In this case, you see with a database, Postgres, okay? Now, ACM wants Trilio to take a backup, okay? So Trilio will take a backup. ACM will tell Trilio, hey, take a backup. Sorry, that was too fast. Yeah. Application deployed, and then ACM tells Trilio to take a backup. Trilio takes the backup and the continuous restore, okay? Now, life is happy, but one day something happens. The primary cluster, the application, the hardware error, whatever you want, something fails. And Dynatrace, or Prometheus, or Datadog, we presented this with Dynatrace at the Red Hat Summit, but it can be any source of events for event-driven Ansible. Okay? So Dynatrace will know, it will tell event-driven Ansible in the hub cluster, and if you know event-driven Ansible, you know it's like an intelligent tool. You can follow your rules. My rules are, first of all, check that it's actually down. Second, try to restart it or whatever. And then, okay, it's not recoverable. Now, let's run some Trilio playbooks to restore the database to the other side, okay? And Argo CD for the application. All of this is unattended. Everything. And everything can be automated and built infrastructure as code. Okay? So this is, yes?
When the first cluster is still going on, the second cluster is active cluster.
If the first cluster is down,
No. First cluster works.
yes, it works.
Active or active and standby or passive? Yeah.
You can, I guess you can do whatever you want.
For example, if in the first cluster you have database,
You have? Database, yeah.
Application have capabilities to replicate data. For example, databases, you can replicate these databases to the second side. And the disaster will only cover, for example, the switching the front end of the application. Because application is cluster aware and location aware.
Yeah, so there are many situations out there, as I told you. Every customer will do a different use case. For example, for this architecture, you need 2 clusters because some of our customers, they only have 1 cluster. They are not interested in continuous restore, so they are not bothered about the pre-staging of backups in the other side, okay? So what they do is, if a disaster happens, let's say they have 12 hours to recover. No problem. So they spin up another cluster in the public cloud, they install Trilio, they point Trilio to the backup target and start restoring. That's it. That's one model.
What is very important, the ICM can help you to spin up the cluster in the cloud. So the Trilio is only, how to say, the data layer to the spin up your cluster. The whole procedure to spin up the new functionality of the cluster have ICM itself. But no data, no application, no other things which is not covered by the infrastructure as a code. For example, persistent volume claims. Yeah, persistent volume claims. This is not a part of the code.
And can I ask about the time recovering this second cluster?
Yes, so the second cluster will be active. Now, the data is already there because of continuous restore. Now, how long does it take to come up? It depends on your application, not Trilio. Okay. Right? So with continuous restore, what you save is the time to copy from the backup target to the cluster. Okay? If it's a 10 gigabyte application, there's almost no difference. But if you have to restore 100 VMs with 300 gigabytes per VM, that's a lot. So you will have to maybe hours instead of just during the lunch break. Okay? So it is the continuous restore feature. That's a disaster recovery enhancement. Okay? So
in my opinion, it depends on the design of the place where you store your data. For example, if you store your data in Azure, the restore will be faster than if you store your data, I don't know, in some other third location, yeah? Because the speed up of the restore inside the Azure will be always faster.
Can I ask why?
Because you don't push the data outside the Azure.
They're inside, okay.
That's right.
okay. So, yes, any other questions about this?
Yes, you told about the restore ONM object to the previous version. What is the flow to restore the API, which is already changed by the new version of the operator?
Well, you will be able to, well, what happens usually is, well, people with not a big number, not a large number of clusters, they will not know about this because it's not that frequent. But like this big bank in the US with 900 clusters, and they have thousands of namespaces, they had to disable the automatic upgrades of OpenShift pipelines operator, because what happens is sometimes it fails. You know, the operator architecture is not really good because it was from the beginning of the OpenShift Kubernetes, CRDs, whatever. They are changing, they are improving that, but right now it's not that good. So you try to upgrade an operator and it fails. Okay, and then you call Red Hat, hey, sorry, I have a failed operator upgrade, and then they troubleshoot for 2 hours, and then they say, you have to uninstall, reinstall, and pull the configuration from Git. And then the customer asks, what Git? Okay, that's the problem, okay? And then for that problem, then you have Trilio, okay? So you can migrate your operator to another cluster. You can, well, you already removed that operator because you had to uninstall. Just uninstall it, and Trilio will reinstall the operator and with the operands and all the configuration, okay? You can select. Now, there's two things. An operator following best practices, so sign in every object, this is mine, and then Trilio will recognize that properly, or not. If not, maybe you have to manually say, okay, you know these objects, they also belong to this operator. So Trilio, please back them up as well. Okay, so we need some flexibility from the customer side to, okay, that operator, if it's not protecting that, maybe it is doing something wrong. But you can fix it this way, include. That's it. Okay, and then when you have to restore, it will restore whatever version that backup had. Okay, and that's it. That's how it works. Okay, so we give you the flexibility because sometimes operators are not following best practices. Okay, and yes, that happens. Okay, more questions? No? Is anyone here interested in hear about Red Hat OpenStack and VMware to Red Hat OpenStack migrations? You are interested? Okay, so shall we go to Red Hat OpenStack? Yes? So, first of all, Trilio as a company started with Red Hat, well, with OpenStack, okay, because our CTO was one of the original developers of the Raxa project, which is OpenStack Backup as a Service, okay? And they decided to start a company, right? So the nice thing is that Trilio, wow, those white letters is Backup Service Trilio, okay? So really, what Trilio is a completely cloud native, like any other service, okay? Like Keystone, Cinder, Nova, Trilio, okay? Same. We talk to the other services through RabbitMQ. We have to follow role-based access control. You will find Trilio in the Horizon dashboard. Okay, everything is the same. Now, we do the same thing as for Kubernetes. We back up to NFS and S3. Okay, and this is the features I like more. So deepest integration with NFS or S3, both.
No SAN environment.
Usually customers back up to any storage appliances, and almost all storage appliances, they have the possibility of exporting storage as NFS or S3. Okay? So deepest OpenStack integration. We are not, and we run as containers inside OpenStack, like any other service. Okay, not like VMs. We are not an appliance outside OpenStack. We are not VMs inside OpenStack. We are containers, just like any other service. That way we can provide huge scalability and multi-tenancy. Okay. we have the most simple option, like I deleted everything, I want just one-click restore, we have that option. Or if you want to disaster recovery to another cloud, you can also do one-click restore. Obviously, there's a reassignment you need to do of those backups to the other cloud because they belong to the old cloud, but after you reassign, you will be able to do the one-click restore, okay? We can recover the networking, same as the other one. We do QCode2 and JSON, so we can also do file folder recovery and no vendor locking. We can also do encryption per workload using Barbican. If you have Barbican, we can do two things: protect encrypted volumes and encrypt backups. Those two things using Barbican. We can do tenant migration, cluster migration, data center migration. And we are agentless by default. In my previous role as an OpenStack consultant, I was working in a Red Hat OpenStack environment for data centers. We didn't use any agents. You can use QEMU guest agent if you want to do a consistent backup. You provide some scripts to QEMU, and then it will guess whatever disks are inside or databases or whatever, and then you take the snapshot, consistent, and then you take the data out. But we were not doing that because we didn't have databases. If you have databases, just do it, okay? QEMU guest agent scripts. So that's Trilio backup service, okay? Compute nodes, storage, okay? So same as we have containers in the control plane, we have containers in the data plane. In the compute nodes, you will have those data mover containers from Trilio, okay? And then we have a backup network, okay? So this architecture is scalable, okay? Any questions so far?
According to the future, to the features, the file level restore?
Yes. Yeah, you have a backup, a 1 terabyte backup. It is a QCode2 file, okay? So you can mount that like you would do with guestfish, for example, and just extract the file. Or you can have, we have a file like a search. We have a search. Let's say you have 50 backups and you want to search for Etsy hosts. And then you say, okay, I want to search for Etsy hosts on the last 50 backups of this VM. And it will tell you when it changed. Oh, it changed here, so I will restore this one. Okay, so you can search on all backup files, okay? That is very useful sometimes. Okay, so we capture everything, metadata and data, everything you want, okay? Everything you can imagine, so you get, when you restore, basically we do the same thing. Now, backup, we back up all the metadata, like what is the flavor, the size and everything, what availability zone. But the nice thing is that at restore time, you can change that. You can change the flavor, you can change what network the VM was connected to, you can change the IP, you can change the availability zone, you can change to a different tenant, so you can do this kind of stuff, okay? Use cases, self-service backup and recovery. We got nowadays, all these VMware cloud service providers, they're calling for OpenStack. And they are calling Trilio all the time. Listen, I have a 20,000 VMware cloud and I want to migrate to OpenStack. How do you work? We got these inbounds several times per week, okay? And most of them, sometimes they offer like private cloud customers, or sometimes they do self-service. Okay, so it is interesting that Trilio is fully multi-tenant, fully cloud native. Okay. File and I think I mentioned everything. Yeah, it is very useful also to be able to roll back after a fail upgrades. Okay, so if you want to do an in-place upgrade and it fails, to be able to do a rollback is great. Okay, disaster recovery, of course. Okay. Again, in my previous role in that telco, we had 4 data centers. We had something called a skeleton ring, okay? Storage between the 4 data centers. So one data center could take a backup, and that backup got replicated to another 2 data centers, okay? So you could lose all backup storage from one data center plus one of the storage backup storage nodes on the other 2 sites, and you could still recover to any of those 2 data centers, okay? So storage is provided, what I'm saying is storage is provided by customer. The better your architecture, the better things you can do, okay? Well, this is more in detail of the use cases, but I prefer to show you how the tool looks like, okay, in these 9 minutes. Right, so these are my instances. This is Trilio, the backups tab, okay, and these are different backup plans I have. I can group my VMs for the frequency of backups or their functionality, whatever you want, okay? So of course you can create the schedules. The nice thing is when you want to recover, okay? We have different options. These are the backups, okay? So first of all, you have the one-click restore. Everything is destroyed in your project. You want to recover the networking and the VMs and the volumes, everything, just one-click restore. Then, if you want to just override one volume, you do one-click in-place restore. So you can select certain VM, and you can select the volumes you want to restore, okay? And then the selective restore allows you to do the most advanced stuff, like, hey, I want you to restore the network topology, or I want you to connect my instance to another network. Also, I want to change the sender type of those volumes, okay? And you can customize your instances, okay? So change flavor, availability zone, whatever you want, okay? And if you see here, this is the new add-on for migrations from VMware, okay? So for Red Hat OpenStack, this is fully GA now, okay? We are engaged with certain opportunities right now with Red Hat, okay? So they are big projects that needs professional services involved, okay? We need to help customers determine what can be migrated and what cannot be migrated, explain to them the full functionality of Trilio, okay? Because customers expect one thing, okay? And maybe you cannot get that yet either from OpenShift Virtualization or from OpenStack, okay? We see both things coming, okay? Any question? So basically, how are my, yes?
This tool has capability to injection, for example, Vim.io drivers?
Yes, I believe we do that, yes. So we do it, so then you can, yes. It's one of the steps. Right, so how this works, it's when you migrate, it's not a backup and a recovery. We do hypervisor to hypervisor, okay? We can do cold, so the VM is shut down, and then you copy everything, or we can do warm. So we will take a snapshot, copy the whole thing, and then when that's done, we will take a little, like the latest delta, the smallest incremental, and then shut it down, and then restart on the other side. It's always pulling from OpenStack from VMware. It's not pushing. Okay? Yes? Question? No? So we pull from OpenStack. Okay? And again, as our solution is completely integrated into OpenStack and Cloud Native, we have the scalability. So we can reach the full speed of your network transferring VMs. Okay? We have some throttling, like for backups, for example, the default, I think, is 3 backups at the same time. So we can have the same thing here. If you don't want to go faster or your architecture, has certain limits, you can customize it, okay? Yes, that's it. Any other question? No? Okay. So I think that's all.